You may not be able to hear the geese flying overhead, but that means it's fall, and that means it's time for new gun releases. The Canik METE MC9L, extending the grip so that banana hands like mine can fit on the gun. This has exciting potential. Coming up next, you'll see absolute first shots through the gun. We'll do full magazine plus one, see how it runs with 17 round magazines. Take it over to our trademark What's for Dinner table to see what the gun will eat. Then the spinner for sights and trigger control, do some practical accuracy, and give you concluding thoughts from two different well-trained and experienced shooters. Coming up next on GBGuns.
You knew I'd be here for this. This is the Canik MC9L. First shots out of it though, from way back here.
About 20 yards on a C-zone piece of steel.
It feels different. I was just getting familiar with it. I've got thoughts. It's maybe it's the ammo, but something feels a lot more jarring than what I recall my other Caniks.
And we are using the Federated Ordnance
Foundation series.
Yeah, and I figured out why I can't remember the name of it is because they have the label of the ammo branding bigger than the manufacturer branding, which is up in the corner.
It's true. Federated Ordnance.
Yes. Idaho, this
grain.
was a ammo squared thing in 124 grain. Normally we've been using slightly softer 115s, so that might be it. First shots through the METE MC9L. Props if you've been with the Props if you've been with the channel long enough to remember me saying maybe it's meat, like meeting out justice, long before suddenly the internet all spoke Turkish and said the Mete was hero or something like that, and it's pronounced Mete. That's what I get for being an early adopter of a firearm, I guess. All right, excited to have my whole hand on a micro compact. Getting some sun glare. So, aside from missing, which is sun being that way, breeze coming this way, blowing smoky ammo, making it very difficult to see a bright red frickin' target, which you guys saw very clearly on the target cam because it's all zoomed in past all that stuff. Excuses, excuses. As far as shooting the gun, pretty controllable. Tia is right, this ammunition is maybe a little bit spicier than what we normally shoot, and so we're feeling that. But it's an authoritative punch, and I'm of course getting a little more muzzle rise because it's a micro, but less than other micros because I've got my whole hand on it and I can hold on to this thing, which I appreciate. Next up is full mag plus one. Full magazine plus one, taking us up to 19 rounds. I did have to use the included mag loader to get that 18 round in this magazine. It was a little bit stiff. We did also notice that the 18 round mags for the other Canik models that they fit are somehow longer bodied. So it's kind of interesting. They stick out, but we'll be using them in the What's for Dinner portion. This is normally, or used to be, for speed, except I can't shoot that fast anymore.
Do it! Do it!
All right, I'll just
That's
burn down into the
for.
dirt then. I'm not gonna shoot up my timber. Can't see through the smoke. No issue cycling. It seemed like a double there.
There was a double.
I don't know if I was just really on
that.
that.
No, I heard that.
That was quick, but gun ran, and yeah, definitely feeling that shock of the little bit hotter ammo through the wrist.
Thanks for taking that.
You're welcome. Let's see what the gun eats. And it's that time again, thanks to our Ammo Squared supporters, patron supporters. and some manufacturer generosity. What's for dinner time? As I scroll by these, you'll see each of these loads has a different weight, projectile type or shape, case material, or coating. What we're looking is to see what the gun will eat. We're going to fire 3 rounds, see if it loads from slide lock, if it cycles and feeds another round of the same type, and if it locks open on empty. Today we're going from 65 grain to 154 grain. If you want to try any of these yourself, check the pinned comment over on the website. I will link to sources where I can.
Circle number 1, we are using this Novex Cross Trainer Competition in 68 grain. Little grains, big boom.
Which is fascinating how it's a trainer and competition at the same time.
Well, you've got to train for competition.
I guess. These are 2-inch circles from 7 yards.
My eyes are not happy right now. Might have to switch over to regular glasses.
We do have some serious sun glare coming at us.
Yeah. Next is the Fiocchi.
100 grain, leadless, frangible.
Circle number 2.
That's probably the best that ammo has ever done through a gun.
And, you know, probably the best it ever felt, too. Circle number 3 is Koenig's 110 grain, jacketed hollow point.
Now, in another review, we noticed these aren't all loaded to the same length. Kind of disappointing for quote-unquote competition ammo, but...
Circle 3, yeah.
Does require a more generous chamber.
Those felt really nice out of this. Circle 4 is the Sig Elite 115 grain. Elite Defense. You know, there's a reason I like Canics. Next is the Blazer Aluminum 115 grain, giving us our friction coefficient demonstration. Is that right?
Because aluminum and steel case ammunition has a different friction coefficient stacked in the magazine as well, going into and out of the chamber, resulting in sometimes some feeding issues. They also expand and contract at a different rate than brass, which can add to traction issues.
Just buy the t-shirt already.
I need to make a shirt. Circle 6 is the Pacific's PMC SFX. 124 grain hollow point. Yeah, that sun glare is not friendly at all.
No, makes my eyes feel like I just got out of a swimming pool.
Yeah, it's just, the sun is coming kind of at this angle, and it's just enough to cause some glare, and then you get a little bit of gun smoke in the air, and it all gets bright and blurry. Circle 7, Federal Premium Law Enforcement Tactical HST 124 grains. What?
Got excited, didn't you?
I don't know what happened there, but the point is it runs in the gun. Circle 8 is the Federal Syntec PCC 130 grain, not meant for short barrels. To the contrary, it's meant for long barrels. So let's put it through a 3-inch barrel. 130 grain. I think I found a sweet spot on the trigger. Now if I can just figure out aiming. Circle 9 is the PPU Defense Line 147 grain, jacketed hollow point.
So I want to make a note. The Federal that you just shot was not getting as much distance into the berm as the others, which tells me that it's doing its job.
Yeah, it wasn't, it hadn't fully combusted on the way at the barrel.
Yeah.
It wasn't like burrowing in there. We're
no,
just gonna...
it gets to about the base of the berm instead of in the middle where everything else goes.
Oh, poor ammo. All right, PPU. No issues. And now our heaviest load for 10 is the Ruag 154 grain. I believe this is the stuff now being labeled as normal 154 grain. They are from the same conglomerate company. A little more recoil on this gun. Yeah, this is not a pleasant shooter.
It sounds pretty snappy.
Yeah, that's interesting. For a subsonic coming out of a short barrel, that should have been the softest, but it was not. Well, it ate everything. Now let's see how it works for sights and trigger control over on the spinner. That is our 6-inch spinner target. We are back here about 12 yards away using that same Federated Ordnance 124 grain. We use this target for sights and trigger control because it's a small targeted distance that moves once you hit it. The harder and better you hit it, the faster it moves, and the more important timing a well-placed shot becomes if you want to keep its momentum going.
Ow. Got some shrapnel. I just suck. The Canik makes it easy. Like, I don't understand what was going on there. So I'm going to do it again after Graham does it again.
Okay. Go. 8 rounds. So much easier to see the front sight without that sun glare. So dramatic. What we saw there was obviously a demonstration of how much less muzzle energy you are getting out of a 3-inch barrel, even with the 124 grain, which you've seen in our test series over on the depot. 124 grain seems to perform best regardless of barrel lengths. That aside, the Canik trigger, I mean, it's hard to not love. I know staging a trigger is not seen as cool anymore, but I found I can just kind of rest my finger at the bottom of the trigger, very bottom, and just kind of ride off of that reset and roll through the brake, which made it very easy. Blacked out rear sight, white dot front sight does draw some attention to the front. Not as bright as other setups, but it's pretty good, and obviously worked here. We just don't have a whole lot of energy to get that spinner moving. Tia wants to give it another go.
I changed my iPro so that I can see more clear. That's going to mess me up.
She advocates that vision is important for shooting. Nice.
Made possible by Canik.
And if you've been with the channel a while, you might recall that the launch of the Mete line was the first time that Tia ever took the spinner over the top a few years ago.
So it's absolutely the trigger. It's likely got a lot to do with my experience with a Canik and understanding how they feel in my hand and things like that. It just becomes a place of home, if you will. So yeah, we did that.
5 shots from 7 yards. I'll be aiming at the left circle square. Using that same basic range ammo. That is a 1-inch square, which is typically about the same size as the front sight post at 7 yards. If I can see it with the sun glare.
Dang, this ammo is so percussive. Five shots from 7 yards. I'll be aiming at the right circle square.
Some of you know my thoughts on micro compacts. Any gun is better than no gun. I personally prefer to carry a full length, as in 4-inch or longer for 9mm. However, in the summer I do carry a 3 1/4. I make up for that loss of energy with plus P ammunition, which you can certainly do with this guy. What has deterred me from most of the micros out there is this: being able to get my whole hand on the gun. It's not, well, let's put it this way. A lot of people are willing to sacrifice, or feel that it's okay to sacrifice, control of the gun in the name of concealability. And I understand that to a point that kind of has to happen. You can't walk around with a giant gun on all the time in all of your outfits in all situations. However, when it comes time to grab and draw, I've grabbed and drawn. I almost said drone, and I was like, that's not right. Grabbed and drawn enough pistols enough times that I know how costly a bad draw can be. Canik has eliminated that for me anyways, I feel, with this MC9L, in that I get my whole hand on it, as well as this texture, especially as the day's gone on and my hands are getting a little sweaty, it sticks. It really grabs on. So that gives you the reduced weight and portability of a micro compact with the more control of a fuller size gun, plus 17 round capacity is pretty nice. So I think Canik did a great job with this. I'd be really curious how the MC9LS feels. That's got a 1/2 inch longer barrel. We don't have our hands on one of those yet, but for me, in my hands anyways, between the classic MC9 and this MC9L, I would go with the L. Or should I say the L is a W?
That don't make no sense. What do you mean? Overall impressions, you know, it's a Canik. I do think that I would like to spend some time and try the different back straps, because while this fits, I think that there might be a better fitting back strap for me that would allow me to get a tighter shot group instead of a full house. The texture of the polymer to me feels thin, if that makes sense. Not as dense, perhaps, as what I think I'm recalling from the previous ones. But you know, there's not been a thing about a Canik that I haven't liked, and a lot of that comes down to my ability in the way that I perform with one. Everything is still in good reach. The trigger is very familiar for me. They didn't change anything on that, which I appreciate, and you know, it comes optics ready, which has become my preferred way to shoot. So overall, I am very impressed. I do want to compare it to the MC9, just because that is my typical carry, but I do have room in my typical way of carrying for more grip, if you will. I don't know if I need it, so I'm going to be interested in comparing those two things and seeing.
And that, folks, might have been some foreshadowing for another video.
Perhaps. Or for my education. Anyway, you can't go wrong with a Canik, in my opinion. You just can't. For price, performance, comfortability, customizations, you know, once that you have it in your hand, you don't have to go to the shop. Like, you can change this up and make it fit your hand better. There's, to me, just not a better gun.
That's the Canik METE MC9L. Thanks for watching.